Hey everybody, welcome to the first ever Pixelvision podcast. I'm Tony, and I have with me Mark
Hello.
and Cole.
Hello.
And yeah, we're just,
Who sound exactly alike,
yeah,
apparently.
I kind of thought that for a second. I thought almost Mark said hello for him, and I was like, oh no. So basically, we're trying to do what not a lot of people do, which is three almost middle-aged white guys talking about video games. You don't see that too often. And so
Not
yeah,
like we're gonna do.
yeah, exactly. And one of the reasons why we're starting this podcast is I think all three of us, while we do agree with a lot of things, at the same time we definitely have different backgrounds in gaming and different thoughts, and we respect those thoughts even though we may disagree with them. And I kind of like the idea of the three of us getting together and talking about, especially since we all, like I said, have a different background with it. So I guess I'll start with myself in this background area. I've been playing video games probably for 28 years now. I think that's probably older than both of you, right?
Yeah,
Almost.
I'm 26, so.
Yeah, I'm 31, and I've been playing games for pretty much 28 years. The first game I picked up was, of course, Mario on the Nintendo. My grandpa let me play it, and they still have pictures of him to this day getting angry at me because I beat Mario before him. I beat it within a week, and he was pretty angry about
Did you
that.
use the warp tunnels?
No, I did not know about them till later on. That would have
Oh,
made things a
nice.
lot easier, a lot easier. But I loved video games ever since then. I still remember my uncles taking me to arcades and filling my pockets with probably like $60 to $80 worth of quarters. And
Oh, wow.
oh yeah, I remember like sitting there like just playing one arcade game over and over again.
Jesus.
Yeah, and them coming up and like putting their hands in my pocket, which I'm pretty sure in today's age it would be all over Facebook saying two young men, touch little boy at an arcade place or whatever.
And
And
to think, 60 to $80 worth, that was even more money back then.
oh yeah, like they would save up so much money, and we would sit there like for like the entire weekend almost just
Well,
playing
and
arcade.
arcade games were cheaper
Not
back then
bathing,
too.
not eating.
Yeah, yeah, no, pretty much. Seriously, and those were like the best memories to me. A lot of people would sit there and go, "Oh, you poor child." No, I actually enjoyed it very much.
What,
Um, and then
yeah, what
throughout the
platforms
rest,
did you have?
was that?
What other platforms did you have growing up?
Oh, crap. Well, let's see. NES, Super Nintendo, Sega, all the PlayStations.
Sega.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
get to that when it's my profile
Yeah.
intro.
Yes, I love the Sega games. I mean, people always like to have those console wars and everything like that. For me, it's just as long as I'm having fun, that's literally
Mm.
all that matters. But I do prefer PC more, especially in this day and age, because I all I have to do is upgrade my PC, and I could always play the games that I bought on PC. It's not like that with a lot of console games. Of course, with Xbox One coming out, they decided to magically have it to where you could play the 360 games on there now. Now that they're losing in sales very badly. And
Well, I've got a good story to tell about yesterday. A good find I found for my PS3
oh, nice.
when it gets to me.
And then well, just basically that's my whole story. I've just always loved gaming and everything about it. It's been a part of my life, and personally it's probably shaped my personality a little bit as well,
Hmm.
with all the stories I've played. And so many people like to talk about violence in video games, and in reality, I think there's more I would say more moral ethics in video games that you play than violence themselves. Yeah, violence is a sort of a key thing in there, but there's of course a reason for most of the violence. But how
Yeah,
about you now,
I would
Mark?
say not always, but oftentimes there are.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying not always. There are times when like games like Hatred and stuff like that, where the main purpose is to just kill and not show any remorse. Sure, but I don't think it does too much to the brain. But how about you now, Mark? Let's hear your intro.
I've been playing. I always try to remember when exactly I started. I can never tell. I usually tell people around like 7 or 8, but honestly, it might have been younger. But yeah, I'm a little younger than you, although a little older than Cole, I think. I got my start on the
Mm.
Genesis with, even though I was so young, I actually one of the first games and gaming memories I have is playing my brother in Mortal Kombat. That and Madden were pretty much what did it for me. And like Madden taught me football. Like I'm a huge football fan today because of that game. It taught me the rules of it. Um, and after that, having an older brother, he kind of provided all the consoles and all the games. I would ask for some for Christmas, but he was the one. He was 8 years older than me, so he had a job. He was buying a lot of these things, so I kind of just follow his lead with a lot of it. Um, Although now at this point he doesn't even play them anymore. I still love them, obviously. That's why I'm here recording this with you guys. And my younger brother, one of my younger brothers, loves them too. But I had so many consoles, especially weird ones growing up. I had from the Genesis. I actually never had Super Nintendo, which we'll get into a lot over the course of the show because I'm kind of lacking on a lot of the history of those games. But I had the Genesis, I had the Sega CD, the Sega Saturn.
Wow, Sega
Um,
CD and a Sega.
yeah, I had no. It gets weirder. I had the Panasonic 3DO at one point,
Wow.
which
I
and
wanted that so bad as a kid.
I and years later, I did some reading on it. One to confirm that it wasn't just a fever dream because I wasn't. I was sometimes I was like, did I just make this up in my head? And then
False memory.
yeah, and I've also heard years later that it was actually very, very expensive at the time. I don't know how we had one because we were never well to do with money or anything, but my brother must have got one secondhand or something or stole it, who knows. But and then after the 3DO, I remember it was a big, big deal when we got the original PlayStation. Our grandmother bought it for us for my brother really, but by then I was already becoming super attached to the hobby that I really loved getting that as well, and that's when I played the original Grand Theft Autos, like the old top-down ones. I don't know if you guys ever played those
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Number three, kind of like blew up in the biggest way that we know it to be now. But
Oh yeah.
those first couple were really fun too. They were just so different. But
Mhm.
yeah, and then since then I've had pretty much everything. I had PS2. Towards the end of the PS2 generation. Well, actually, I had PS2 and GameCube throughout the whole generation. Towards the end, actually, after the Xbox 360 came out, I bought a used Xbox just to play some of those games that I missed. And then last generation, I had all three home consoles. I don't play PC like you, Tony, but I had 360, which is my preferred platform. I had the Wii, and I had PS3, and now I have the One and the PS4.
Nice.
My Wii collecting dust. What
We
about
could make
you?
a whole episode on that, like how that was successful and what, I don't know. That's crazy. Everyone's is collecting dust, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, yeah, but I mean, it's kind of crazy how many units is sold, and then you hear like just nobody plays it. It's like, why did you buy it in the
Hmm.
first place then?
because as we
Hmm.
learned, moms and kids with no income of their own, not saying the moms don't have income, by the way, that the moms buying for the kids and the kids themselves that are like the target audience of a lot of those games, not all of them, but a lot of them, they're not like a sustainable demographic, not
Yeah.
not the people that the other formats go after. But that's another show. Cool. What's your history?
Sure, yeah. Well, to your guys' surprise, I'm 29, so I'm right in the middle.
Oh, I thought I
Um,
was older than you for some
I know,
reason.
yeah, most people do. My baby face makes it
Your
that way, I
smooth baby
guess.
face.
And my lack of gainful employment. Actually, I just got hired, so I'm washing dishes at a pizza joint.
You gotta do what
Get
you
lots
gotta
of time
do.
to think about. What's that?
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep, yep. They tell me I'll move up fast. Um, but anyway, so yeah, I'm 29. I started gaming probably around like 4. I'm pretty sure it was my dad's NES that we had Jack Nicklaus Golf,
I
Mario.
remember that.
Oh man, like they're like I remember back then I did not like them. Like I would watch my dad play and I was like this, like I remember thinking like it rubbed me the wrong
You'd
way
rather
for
play
whatever
like
reason.
stick ball and kick the can and stuff like
I
that.
don't I don't know. Like it's almost like I just had a frustration that it could have been better or something. Because I would still play them and I enjoyed playing them, but they still like it was almost like I knew something was missing. I knew it
Cole,
was
you're
it's
still like
like
that probably, huh? You're even looking at today's graphics going, they could be better.
well, like today, now I don't even care about graphics. Now I care more about like gameplay. And so that's one thing that I'm gonna want to talk about today when we talk about the solo campaigns versus no solo campaigns.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. So yeah, so that was what got me started in games. We had, I think, a WWF game that one was actually kind of fun, but it was pretty limited. And then I remember my neighbors across the street were from California, and they somehow would always get the video games before I even heard about them, because this is, back before the internet in the early 90s. And so they would just all of a sudden have the new Mortal Kombat game and things like that. We'd go across the street, play those, started learning, combos and fatalities. We called them death moves back then. I don't know if you guys did too, because we probably couldn't read the word fatality.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. Yeah, I still remember to this day. So many like I remember when I went to go rent Mortal Kombat. When my mom and dad were doing it for me, the person was telling them, "Hey, this game's really violent. I don't know if your son should be playing that." And then I seen my son, watching the new Mortal Kombat with me and his uncle were playing it. And I was thinking, like, in my head, I go, should my son be watching this? Because this is way different than when I was a kid. I mean,
We turned out fine
yeah.
though, right?
Well, I mean, one was like a little pixelated flame turns somebody into a skeleton, and you're like, oh, whatever. On this one, you like pry open somebody's skull, and you can actually see their brains and their organs and
Yeah.
and everything like that. So I don't know. We could definitely talk about that more in future podcasts. What we
Yeah.
saw as children then, and what we think as parents now, or we think of our nephews and everything like that.
Well, that's actually a good point to bring up for my introduction, because so I went from that to then those same neighbors got a 64. I remember playing Mario 64 and just blown away, like running around in circles and swimming in the moat around the castle. I think we did that for like an hour before we even went and jumped in a painting. So then that made me talk my parents into getting us a 64, and so I from very early with the NES, I became a Nintendo fanboy. I was always on the playground arguing with my Sega friends, which version of which game's better. I mean, honestly though, the Sega usually was better because it was just more powerful.
Yeah.
I
But I
should
wouldn't let them
mention.
know.
I should mention real quick, just so it doesn't get confusing in shows to come. I actually did have a 64 as well. I forgot to mention that. So
Oh, cool,
I've had pretty much everything.
sweet. Hey, you gotta play GoldenEye, right?
Oh
Yep.
yeah. I had a friend who had the 64, and I would borrow it every once in a while just to play GoldenEye.
Yeah, I never owned GoldenEye, but all my friends did. So I mean, it was the best game to play with friends, and so I was like, I don't need to own it because I just want to play with my friends anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
As long as somebody had it who really cared.
I look back now that I'm like, oh, I wish I would have got it because now 29-year-old me would like to have it, but oh well, another time. Maybe one day Microsoft will let Nintendo re-release it on their virtual console, or vice versa. But anyway, so I was going to talk about the violence in video games, and so I went through, my Nintendo fanboy phases of had the NES, the Super Nintendo, the Game Boy Advance, the 64. We did pick up a Game Gear, but the battery life was so bad on, and the games were so hard, we barely ever played it. I got a Virtual Boy at Target when they were like on clearance, because I think they found out they made people allegedly, I'm going to say allegedly so we don't get sued, but your vision go bad, because I'm the only person in my family who has as bad a vision as I do.
You're walking scientific proof.
Yeah. And so then I moved on from that to then discovering computer games and demos. Then I could play games for free. And I just thought that was amazing. And so I downloaded demo after demo. I love the game Carmageddon. And I don't know if you guys have played that.
Is it like Twisted Metal?
It's kind of like Twisted Metal, but the main point of the game is like a race, and you're racing against these other cars. And each car, though, was very distinct. And there's like hot rods, monster trucks, tractors. And it's kind of early on in the PC modding era. And so people were creating their own cars. So you could, go download skins for these cars and stuff. And the way you could win the race was either race around the lap or around the world like 5 times, which it was a really large map, so it took a while. It was like I don't know, maybe quarter the size of like Grand Theft Auto 3's map. Or you could run over all the pedestrians in a level and kill them all. And so this is kind of like one of the first games you could run over pedestrians, and it was like rewarded. And my mom let me play it, but
Oh,
then when
that's
I
right.
wanted to
Yeah.
buy the full version, she told me it was too violent. And so then I said, okay, well, how about this game Half-Life? And so then she bought me Half-Life.
Oh, wow.
And then that's what started my really long era of PC gaming, where it was pretty much all Valve games like Counter-Strike, Team Fortress 2, Half-Life Deathmatch, and stuff like that.
That was my high school right there.
Yeah, like that
Wait,
was that
no.
was so good.
I guess maybe it's years later, but no Left 4 Dead.
I played a little bit. My computer was kind of dwindling in specs by that point, and so I could play it, but it would run like at 20 frames per second.
Oh,
Uh,
jeez.
Yeah, I played the demo quite a bit, and then I was in college, so I couldn't quite devote the time to it as I would like to. But I want to revisit that game because I have a friend here in the town I just moved to that has never played it, and so I'm like, oh, that'd be great. Like, let's introduce Left 4 Dead to somebody who's never even heard of it.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's
nice.
one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my history. I'm still a Nintendo fanboy. I got a Wii U. I've got a laptop that can run Counter-Strike, but not much else.
Are you rubbing your hands together?
I was wiping stuff off the table.
You're doing that like crazy. I can always hear it.
Sorry.
I thought somebody had a
thanks for
cat on their
reminding me.
desk or something.
All right. At first, I was thinking like somebody was highlighting something on like a piece of paper.
That's what I was doing.
It's 2015, man. We don't use paper.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Um,
It's all in the cloud now.
So that's my long-winded intro. And I also wanted to mention too, like this podcast is like a dream come true for me too, because I mean pretty much every recess as a kid, I was either playing football or walking around with my friends talking about the latest video game news and rumors and stuff. So yeah, I'm glad I get to do that again now.
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be interesting because like with myself, I get a lot of games early and I get to go to these events. Same thing with Mark here. You know, he's going to be interviewing a lot of indie developer stuff with True Achievements. So and and Cole, and not a lot of people know, of course, Cole's a great artist. So I think with the three of us, we have, like I said, such a different background, and we're doing different things, and then we can just collaborate together and bring it into this podcast and make it better.
Yeah, and the way I put it on the Facebook, plug that actually. We have a Facebook now if anyone wants to find us on there.
Yeah, Facebook, Twitter. We'll have an Instagram, a Pinterest. We'll be showing all the video game food we eat and all that crap.
Ooh,
I thought about
But,
doing that one time. I seriously thought about opening a restaurant that was supposed to be video game food. This is, of course, me when
video game food.
well, like it's supposed to like the turkey leg from Castlevania and stuff like
yeah.
that. And I was thinking about opening a restaurant like that. Of course, this is a 12-year-old thinking this. At the
Wait,
time.
had you just eaten a Mario mushroom? Is that what gave you the idea?
Yeah, exactly. I found it out in the backyard and it was yellow and with red dots. So I was like, oh, definitely.
Like, I don't know what this one does.
There's Dead Rising pizzas, but you have to eat them in 3 bites.
Oh, no, yeah, you, get you get to eat it for free.
Yeah.
No, I mean that would be really awesome, but again, this is like a 12-year-old thinking about this stuff, so of course I wasn't thinking about the cost or the actual fact that I could get sued for doing all of that. That's what kind of sucks in the world today is that when you have a great idea nowadays, somebody else might have had the same idea, patent it, and then put it into a drawer somewhere and is just waiting to sue your ass.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought of a great patent that if it's not out there, we could use this to fund our podcast. But let's patent an idea for a phone called the retro iPhone. So then if Apple ever tries to re-release their old phone and call it the retro iPhone, then we can sue them.
I'm pretty sure we would lose that battle.
So you know they're gonna do it. You know they're gonna re-release it in like 5 years and be like, get the phone you had when you were in high school.
Yeah, what was it like? Crap. Didn't Pepsi do something like that with one of their cans?
Yeah, they always do the throwback
Yeah.
cans. And,
They're doing
Yeah, cereal does it. Everybody does
Yeah.
it. Everything old is new again.
Yep.
yeah,
Retro, dude.
that's one of the find I found yesterday at a local fun trade was I don't know if you guys ever played the ESPN2 Extreme
I have
games on,
not.
on PlayStation 1.
No.
Oh, they're great. And so I picked that up, and it's just nostalgia forever for me right now.
What sport is it, or sports?
It's like really weird because you can choose a rollerblader, a biker, a luge, or a skateboarder, and then all you do is you race through like famous cities throughout the world. So it's not an actual extreme game sport. It's like that concept mixed with Road Rash. Do you remember that game where you're on
Oh yes,
bikes?
Oh,
yeah, that was
yes.
another big one in my childhood. I should have known.
I
Yeah,
loved Road
it's
Rash.
Punching
just like
people off their
that.
bikes.
Yeah, you get to punch them and stuff. And then this one has like gates you go through, which make things move. And like the AI is really dumb, so they'll be trying to go around it, and you go through the gate. It opens it up, and they both just like smash into the walls, and you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I love Road
Somebody
Rash.
somewhere will hear this show and connect with you in this moment.
Oh, it's like I didn't even realize I missed the game so much because like even the turning of the pages in the menu, like we're bringing back memories. I was like, man, this is great.
I hate when that happens. Especially when you think of you remember the game so well in your head and what you were doing, but then you can't remember the name of the game. So you're like, son of a
Oh yeah,
bitch.
yeah. There's a game, a PC game that I was gonna ask you guys about. I mean, it was so obscure. It was on like a collection of like 100 games. Remember those CDs that were like 100 games in one, but they were all freeware kind of
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
all terrible stuff.
And there was one. It was like something like Crisis Corps or something. It was a first-person shooter, and it had like photorealistic sprites like Mortal Kombat.
Wasn't Crisis Core? Isn't that an actual game?
I don't know.
Well,
It sounded. It had like
There's a subreddit. There's a subreddit that would help you find this. It's r/tip of my joystick.
tip of my joystick.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, I've
If
heard
you
of tip of
go,
my tongue. I haven't heard of that one.
well,
whatever.
yeah, because
I'm not gonna
there's
go to
tip
your
of my
filthy
tongue,
porn
and
website, Mark.
no. There's a subreddit for it. It's like a more specific because there's a tip of my tongue where people just go and ask general things about anything, but then there's tip of my joystick where gamers try to recall games with the help of other gamers.
Hmm.
And I've actually I sought out help on there before. I was trying to think of this old educational computer game series I used to play when I was a kid. It was like
Boo. No.
Is it Math Blaster?
Number
um,
crunchers.
Number
I think
Cruncher.
it was one of those, and I don't know. Like the end result was yes, I found the right answer, but it seemed to have several different names. But yeah, it was that guy with the red hat, low over his face, and it was a side scroller, and you did like I think it was mostly math based, but they might have had like spelling ones as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think um, I don't know. There was it seemed like there were several different names and kind of different spin-offs, but Math Blaster does ring a bell. Yeah.
I remember those all the time, especially playing with those old school Apple computers. Yeah, they had a bunch of those like that. Oregon Trail, of course. Everyone's played Oregon Trail, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just
And
want
now
to
I'm
make
getting
sure. I
hit
was
by
like,
a
holy
snake
shit, I
every
can't be
time.
that old, right? I mean, come on, guys.
Well, we should wait, do we want to talk about what our favorite games are or
I see. That's such a tough question to me.
really?
It is.
Oh,
I have
man.
so many favorite games. It's just, and I always feel
Well,
like I'm
if you
leaving
were
one out. Or
Tony, if you were stranded on Mars and you had
Uh,
one game to bring with, you're on a trip to Mars as one of the first people in the mission. You can only bring one game because there's only that much memory on the computer.
hmm, shit.
Leisure Suit Larry.
Probably Chrono Trigger to be honest. Either Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VI.
I haven't played either of those games.
They're for the Super Nintendo. They were really long and there was a lot to do with them, and they had great stories. That was the thing that grabbed me
Mhm.
the most was the stories. And I would definitely take those with me probably.
Huh.
Both from Super Nintendo too, of course. One of my favorite consoles.
Oh, that's
What
your favorite console.
One
Cool.
like I would say the Super Nintendo or the PlayStation 2 were my favorite consoles. There's just so much to do with both of them. They had
Mhm.
so many games.
They're kind of similar in my mind too, like
Yeah.
because the Super Nintendo had those great RPG games, and they moved to the PS2 during that generation.
And what kind of sucks too is I've really fallen out with the PlayStation or the not PlayStation role playing crowd I think it's because they actually started giving people voices, and
Hmm.
they all sound like 15-year-old girls, and they all have zippers everywhere. There's always a zipper just somewhere. You don't
What?
need
Yeah.
the zipper on the sleeve of your shirt, but you know what? It's fucking there. So they're
Yeah.
just telling me to deal with it. I don't, and it just seems so like too much too much teenage drama issues. It seems in a lot of these new.
Sounds like you've got some problems with the new Final Fantasy.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah, yeah. I haven't. The last Final Fantasy game I enjoyed was 9.
Hmm.
That was about it.
So those are games I'm saving for. I've never played a single Final Fantasy, um, and so I'm saving those for when I'm in the retirement home. That's gonna be I'm spending my twilight years.
Twilight years. Now with your grandkids. I'm playing Final Fantasy. Leave me alone.
No, this is when they put me in a retirement home and
Oh, they don't
they
want to
leave
deal
me
with you
there.
anymore.
Yeah.
Grandpa Cole, we just here, just play Final Fantasy. Just leave us alone. Just go over there. Go in the corner.
It's like when you give a smartphone to your kid as a babysitter.
Shut your mouth, Mark. I do it all the time.
Wait,
Siri is a
oh, I
perfect
see where it's
role
at.
model for these children.
They love it too, and they're gonna be running circles around us in all of our games in like 6 years.
Crap, they already do.
What are your favorite games of all time, Cole? If
Um,
on the same mission to Mars.
Same mission to Mars. Like I'm kind of gonna answer based on ones I put the most hours into. I really loved the old Dave Mirra BMX games.
Huh.
I could just play those for days because it was like Tony Hawk, but because a bike was more had more moving parts, you could kind of create your own custom tricks, almost like you can do in the new Skate series, that came out a few years ago.
Hmm.
Um, and so you could like hit the same jump, I don't know, 200 times in a couple hours, but each time you could do a different trick. You could do a 360 bar spin or a 360 tail whip or a backflip tail whip and so
Wow,
it had
sounds
this,
gnarly.
yeah. Well, and I was the kid with the BMX bike out in front of my house, like trying to learn all the tricks too. And at the same time, so it was like, is my escape, pretend I was that. So I put tons of hours into that and like and the Tony Hawk games too, which I know Tony, you got to play the new Tony Hawk quite a bit and you loved it.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh! The first 2 Tony Hawk games were just amazing, and then this new one came out. It was like the first Tony Hawk, except if it didn't work. It looked graphically, it was just such a down step, and they
Mm.
just it was just awful. There was nothing
Why do
good.
you think they made it? Like what?
Well, if you
Name value.
if you look at I heard that they were losing the rights to the Tony Hawk game by the beginning of next year. So it seems like they're
Mm.
just trying to make one real quick to get money off of it before they let it go.
Mm.
Kind of like what
But
they did with Spider-Man in the movies, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. See, I don't know if video game like franchises work the same way with movies. With movies, you have to make a movie within a certain period of time, or else the rights can go to somebody else. I'm not too sure if it works the same way with games. I think maybe it's just a regular contract, and like, oh no, we're about to lose Tony Hawk, so let's just make one really quick. Does it have to work? It doesn't have to fucking work. Who cares? You're still gonna buy it, and then that's exactly what happened.
Interesting.
Well, that might be true. That might not.
Yeah.
But it unsubstantiated rumors have never hurt anyone before. So I say just go for it.
Well, like could you tell Tony in the game if they were trying to really bring out the nostalgia for people who had played the older ones, hoping to really capture their attention, or
Oh,
was it like a whole new thing?
well, they put Lil Wayne in there, so I'm gonna say no on that.
Lil
I don't know.
Wayne.
I don't know. Like everything about it just didn't feel like like skating to me. Like when you think
Mm.
of people skateboarding, you think of these, really cool tricks and the music, punk and rock, and it just nothing was there. I played the game for about an hour and I was done. And I'm glad I got the game for free. Doug actually just threw it at me. He's like, "Here, I got an extra code you can have. I know you like Tony
Mm.
Hawk." So I was like, "Okay, cool." And even my wife was sitting there going,
I know you used to like Tony Hawk, and you no longer will soon.
"Yeah." This is totally gonna change your opinion on the video game franchise. But even my wife was looking at it going like, "This is a new one. This isn't like a remastered one." And I was like, "Wow!" And this is coming from my wife who doesn't even like know too much about video games. So that really
Did you
creeped me
get?
out.
Sorry.
Well, one thing that really got me every single time was how you would fall. Like the second the game knew that you're not gonna make it, your entire body
Mm.
just went limp. I'm talking like you just got shot in the head and your body's just like flailing around and when you fall, you just fall face first. There's like no instinct to protect your face. You would think that's a human instinct right there, right? To protect yourself. Now with this one, you're just like, oh, I fell. Here I go. Boom. I'm surprised that like my player didn't die immediately after I missed whatever it is I did.
Tony Hawk Pro head trauma.
There,
You're right,
that could
though.
have been on the Video Games Made Me Do It website. That could have been
Yeah,
such a good thing.
yeah, we should do that.
So now it's Mark's turn. What are your favorite games?
My favorite game ever right now, and it kind of resonates with me so closely that it'll probably be a while before it's replaced, is The Last of Us. It's
Mm.
the reason I even have a PS4 when I was, because I
For
do
the remastered?
slightly, yeah, I do slightly prefer Xbox to PlayStation. I'm not a fanboy for either, but
It,
because I,
hey, it's okay. True achievements aren't going to be listening to this. They don't have to know.
no, we have true trophies now, so they don't mind
Oh,
anyways.
that's true. That's right. I forgot about that.
And we have true Steam achievements coming out, and
Shut
we
up.
first,
Nuh-uh. That's actually that's
yeah,
smart. That's smart.
yeah, yeah. It's an empire now, but yeah, that when I was upgrading from Xbox 360 slash PS3 to one of their new gen counterparts, it was a tough decision because Xbox pretty much has everything I like, which is I prefer their UI, I prefer their controller. My brother had a 360, so I knew when he upgraded, he would get a one as well because all his friends would. But I also knew that he wouldn't be getting one right away. So about a year ago, actually almost a year, it might be a year to today. That's weird. uh, about a year ago, I decided I can keep my 360. I'll trade in my PS3, put it towards a PS4, so that way I still have my favorite game. I can still play with my brother, which is really important to me. And then when he gets a one, I'll get one as well. So I was playing PS4 for a while. I used to play only the exclusives for Sony's
Hmm.
games on my PS3, but with it being my only new gen console, I started just playing whatever. I got The Evil Within, Far Cry, a bunch of others. But and then my brother out of nowhere received an Xbox One, so now I have both because I ran out and bought one to play with him some more. But The Last of Us is still by far my favorite game ever. I just think, in terms of story, and I mean, even with the story, you could even argue that the story's not so. I mean, it is special, but the basis of the story has been a dozen times before. It's a post-apocalyptic survival story, but it's the way that they wrote the characters and the way that Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson voiced those
Hmm.
characters that just are so perfect to me. I've played it like 7 times. I beat it on the hardest difficulty twice.
Damn.
But once I catch up on these games that I'm playing right now, which we can get to in a second, I'll uh, I'll probably run through it again. And there's 2 more playthroughs I want to do. One is to finish all the collectibles because I haven't done that yet, which I almost never do unless I love a game. So that tells you how much I love it. And then the other one is there's like developer commentary during the cutscenes that you can turn on or off. I haven't heard those yet, so I'm going to play through it again, probably at a lower difficulty, just to hear them and experience those. Um, but yeah, I don't know if you guys have both played that. You both have either PS3 or PS4. I'm hoping you've both played it, right?
Yeah. No. No. I got it for free and early on PS3, and then as soon as the remastered version came out, I traded it in for the mastered version
Oh, nice.
because I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, it's just, oh man.
No, it's
Cole,
an
did you play
incredible
it
game.
before?
I've watched friends play it, and I don't know if I had a PS3 at the time, and now that I have one, I check the used bins every once in a while.
Yeah.
And then I also check my schedule because I hear it'll probably take up quite a bit of my time. So I haven't delved into it yet.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
my first playthrough on normal difficulty, I think it took me like 14 hours.
Holy shit.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
the harder difficulties are so brutal, but so worthwhile for like super fans like me. You know, it's like the purest experience because it's just, oh man,
Yes,
It's
you
more
just
like
really have
very
perfect.
realistic at that point.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like two shots and you're dead.
Yeah.
Well,
Sometimes.
and I've heard such great things about the story, and that's one of the main reasons why I haven't gone into it because I really want to not play halfway through and then stop for like a month.
Yeah.
Like I'm afraid of that happening because I want the story to be nice and fresh each like the whole way through
Oh yeah.
when I play it, I guess.
No, that's
Yeah.
good. I think that way about The Last of Us. It's the same thing with certain like music albums too. Sometimes I wish that I never played it and I could experience the sound or the game, all over again. And
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
The Last of Us would definitely be one of those. Even though I can't play uh, the intro anymore when something happens at the very beginning of the game.
I think I've played that part.
Yeah, I can't.
So I
Well,
think I know what you're talking
well, I'm not
about,
gonna
but
say it anyways, but I'm just gonna
hmm
just for your sake because it is a very emotional part, and I had to
hmm
get up and walk out of the room and told my sister to finish it because I couldn't because I was like, okay, I
hmm
can't. Just tell me when it's over.
Now, see how
hmm
many games, like I just feel like this game specifically represents like how far the whole hobby industry or whatever you want to call it has come, like just and Naughty Dog, man, they just
Yeah,
I love them so much because it's crazy. I like I said, I love Xbox is probably my number one like format to play on, but I don't care about Halo. I don't care about Gears. I only care
they're
about
they're,
Whoa.
ma- they're
Forza.
main sellers too. You don't care
Yeah,
about their main
like
sellers.
I don't like their exclusives. PlayStation's exclusives are the reason why I have to keep buying both consoles because Xbox has everything
Yeah.
but the exclusives that I want.
No, I totally agree with that. I mean,
Naughty Dog, man,
I think they take
they're so
I
good.
think I think even with the other PlayStation exclusive games that didn't do fairly as well, like Beyond Two Souls, I think they take more risks.
I think so too. You're right. Yeah.
I
I was listening to a good developer interview the other day with Dennis Dyack from Silicon Knights. Uh, he's got some new studio out now, but he was talking on some other gaming podcasts that I really love, and he was saying how, in his experience, he's seen that some publishers, some development houses, they're kind of split into two groups, and one is marketing based and one is like development based. So to me, it seems like a lot of Microsoft's exclusives, not that they don't put time and effort, because I think Gears does look like it's high quality for what it is. It just doesn't appeal to me. Halo, the same thing. Forza is obviously like the king of racing games right now. But it just seems like, and Ubisoft is honestly kind of a culprit in this as well. They put so much into the marketing of it, where other studios like Naughty Dog and I like Remedy as well from Finland, the guys behind Alan Wake and Quantum Break coming up. I feel like they put a lot of their time and effort into getting the game to be exactly what they want it to be, rather than getting the 30-second TV commercial to really make you want to buy the game. Like if the game is good, word of mouth is gonna get you those sales anyways.
yeah.
But some studios and some publishers just seem like I don't know, maybe it's just a publisher thing. I don't know. I don't know if I can even put it on the studios
No, you
because
can't really
those are
put
the
it.
guys programming and
Yeah.
writing and everything, and obviously they're passionate about gaming. Maybe it's just a the almighty dollar thing coming from the publishers overhead.
I wouldn't doubt that at all. I mean, look how much was put in. Like, everyone keeps talking about, oh, Destiny. They spent half a million. Oh, not half a million, half a billion on. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. $500 million onto Destiny, and the game looks like the game isn't that great. And I agree with that. The game, it feels unfinished, and it feels just. It just doesn't grab. It never grabbed me when it first came out. I don't know how it is now. A lot of people are saying it's a lot better now, and that's I don't think that's a good excuse. It's like the game should be good when it first comes out, not like like a year and a half
Yeah.
later when after all the patches and all the DLC. But a lot of people go, I can't believe how bad it was. $500 million. Like, you do realize like $500 million did not go into the development, right? Like a lot of
Yeah.
that went into. Have you seen their commercials? They were literally everywhere, and they're all live action. They weren't even in the fucking game. They were just live action shit. I mean, if the game actually looked like that, no one would complain. Like, holy crap, this is awesome. But no, that's not the case. And you know, I agree with that. I think a lot of it goes more into just getting the word out about the game than actually improving on the game itself. Especially for these series. You know, I shouldn't say too much about that because I'm currently playing the new Syndicate or the new Assassin's Creed game. What I can say is that I didn't play Unity. Did anybody play Unity here?
I did.
How
I didn't.
What did you think of Unity?
Um, the topic of Assassin's Creed is like its own show, honestly,
Yeah,
because where it began to what it is now. I mean, for one, it's not that different, which is kind of the problem. But I could say so many things. But for Unity specifically, the assassination missions were very, very boring to me. You start on the outside of a big building and you have to infiltrate it, but I don't know, like their stealth mechanics in those games, like they never feel like put together, you know? Like in Splinter Cell, I feel like I'm playing a stealth game.
Mm-hmm.
In Assassin's Creed, like only recently could you even like crouch, you know? Like I remember they showed off some E3 demo of Revelations a couple years ago, which is one of the worst anyways, but it was just hilarious to me because here we are in E3, like the biggest stage where all these companies want to get their name out there and make sure people like want their game, and they're trying to show us, I guess, what they thought was an awesome Assassin's Creed Revelations demo, and in that one it's still Ezio. He's supposed to be sneaking up on somebody on like this dock. He like comes out of the water, climbs up on the dock, and then he just walks up behind the guy, stabs him. It's like there was no like immersion there, you know? And I mean, in Unity, thankfully you can finally crouch, but it's just weird to me that you couldn't do that for years in what is supposed to be like partly a stealth game. And just I don't know, just in general, like hugging the wall doesn't seem to work right. And every assassination mission was the same, where it was just a big building. You could choose a window or a door to go through, which is cool. It seems open-ended, but then when you get in, it's just the same staircases, the same corridors, the same guys walking the same paths. You know, a lot of the same tropes that stealth games in general have problems with. But I think they were especially bad in that one. And don't even get me started on that series because that used to be one of my favorites, and like I can't even pretend anymore that I don't even plan on getting Syndicate this year. I mean, I know you can't say anything pro or con for it right now. In a couple of weeks, you can speak your mind more.
Yeah,
But
next week I can for sure. Yeah.
yeah, for me, it's just how far they've fallen.
Oh,
Well, this is a good and like going to the topic of you guys convincing me to go to the next gen,
yeah.
because like to me like it seems like they are kind of
What do
the
you mean? You
same
have a Wii
game.
U?
Yeah. I mean, they're getting there. They've got online almost figured out. But yeah, like I do have Wii U, but for PS4 and Xbox One, me and my girlfriend in an argument on which one we need to go to, and so I'm constantly battling which one or even if I need one yet. But Assassin's Creed's a perfect example where I remember when I first saw I think E3 trailer of the first one and how he's like shoulder nudging through a crowd to go and sneak up on somebody. Like I think I got goosebumps when I first watched that. Like this game is going to be
Yeah.
great. And then I played a little bit of it, and then my roommate got it and he played a bunch of it, and I just wasn't excited by the final product. And like where is it gone from then to now that really like last gen couldn't do, or like what is it that's not exciting to you in the Unity, Mark, that you liked in
Well,
the first ones?
the thing that drew me into the series, the thing that draws me into pretty much most every game except for, you know, like a sports game or like Left 4 Dead is the story, and I loved. Well, I guess you haven't played much of the series then, so I don't know.
I knew kind of the concept of the story, but yeah, I haven't
It's
played
just
through
it's multi-layered, you know. Like there's the Assassins versus Templars, like that's sort of like the A story. There's a B
it.
story that I really really loved because it seemed to create like a deep mythology, and it seemed like they were doing a lot of world building in the first few games. And then when it
Mm.
became such a mega hit, they just annualized it, and now they're sort of they've just abandoned like a lot of the world building that they set themselves up for, and it's like I think it's undeniably. I mean, it's undeniable. It's just you can't
Mm.
you can't look at if you've played all of them like I have, you can't say that they've stopped caring about like the story aspect of it, because it doesn't make any story sense anymore. They
Mm.
had all the it's like Lost. I love the TV show Lost. There was so much world building there, and I'll actually defend Lost more than I'll defend Assassin's Creed, because I think to some extent they actually did like tie up a lot of their loose ends much more so than the general population likes to claim. Assassin's Creed seems like they have no interest in doing that, and I think the fact that the whole basis for the story is that you're in like basically a time machine called the Animus, where your mind transports to relive memories of ancestors. That pretty
Hmm.
much that gives them hundreds and hundreds of years of human history to
Hmm.
dabble with. So they've just taken that
All
license.
filled with assassins.
Yeah, yeah, which is cool. I mean, if you want to tell me that these assassins and Templars have been fighting forever, and like I like that as an idea, but they're not. They've just left a lot of the other stuff by the wayside. There were these. I don't want to spoil it, but
Does
there's a
it does
big B
it
story regarding like the civilization that came before humanity, and after like the first one didn't do too much into it. The Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood did a lot with it, and I think that was like the peak of the series, and I was so excited to see where they'd go next with it. And
mm,
now they're just plucking time periods out of human history and just dropping us in the middle of an assassin versus Templar storyline.
mm.
And I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting for them to get back
Do you
to
think that they're just doing that because they don't want to scare like new adopters of the series
that.
so they
Yeah,
can pick up the newest?
that could be part of it for sure. Yeah, because Unity was probably the furthest departure
Mm.
from having anything to do with anything but strictly assassins versus Templars. Even the few that preceded that, Black Flag didn't do. Black Flag was basically just a pirate game. It
Mm.
really didn't need to, and it was a good pirate game.
Yeah,
But
the game was
if you
good.
put
The
the
Hmm.
game was actually really good. It's just the story was a bit out there, especially at the end.
yeah, and it's just, if it's not even then there wasn't enough Assassin's Creed ishness to it, to put it
It's
eloquently.
almost like Mark's talking about an ex girlfriend. Well, I'll say this so far with Syndicate. What I'm liking about it. First off, when you get glimpses of the actual our world, and you don't play it, it's actually all like cinematics, and then you go back into the
Mm.
assassin era. I kind of like that because
So what you're able to can I ask a question about it and you answer it, or are you still under
yeah,
embargo for
I
that?
can answer certain things right now. I'll just say this. So far they're doing certain things that I wish they would have done more in the beginning. You play as
Mm.
two twins. You could play either one of them at any given time, but they're different. One of them's a bit more of a brute. He's not so much of an assassin. He just likes to go in and just kill people, kind of thing. He wants to start getting at the Templars, and while Evie, his sister, she's all about stealth. And the way you build her up is for that, because and they do share some traits when it comes to skills, but a lot of their skill sets are made for them, and I really like that about the game. And like I said, the main
Mm.
thing I like is that uh, I every Assassin's Creed game, I hate it when we go out of the Animus and we're dealing with the real world stuff. I just never liked it. I never cared about it. And on this one, they just show like a quick little scene and go, okay, we're putting you back into the game now. I'm like, oh, thank you. I don't have
Mm.
to walk around and listen to all this boring stuff that doesn't make sense to me or that I just don't care
Well,
about.
and that's what I was going to ask you is it seems like a lot of games in the last year got criticism for moments like that where you weren't playing, you're just mainly watching. Like
Oh yeah,
I
yeah, you're
can't,
talking about like the order.
I don't, yeah, like the order, and everyone was complaining that they're like, I wasn't really playing the game at those moments, but like it seems seems to me that's the best way for kind of the director or the story person to get the most accurate interpretation of what the story they want to be, and then also not, lose the player's, focus when it is kind of important storyline. And so I kind of like that, but it seemed like people are criticizing it, and you're saying you like this in this one.
Well, it all matters on how you do it. With the order,
Mm,
you're talking about it being a third person shooter, and then you're playing it as a movie. But like
mm-hmm.
when you look at games like Until Dawn, which I liked, which is just a game where you pretty much watch it and then you make a few decisions that may alter the way you watch it. But see, here's the thing though about that is that that's what I was promised with Until Dawn. They're pretty much saying, yeah, you just make a few choices and then you can walk around and watch as those choices unfold. With the order, they're showing you all this stuff. You get to fight werewolves and have all these cool gadgets and all that. And in reality, you're like literally 2/3 of the time you're just watching people talk.
Yeah, there's a couple. I'll defend the order on another podcast because I actually really like it, just because of its story and because of its atmosphere. But I I agree, it absolutely does too often pull you out of it, and it's so funny. It's the only game I've ever seen where because it comes in chapters. You haven't played it, right, Cole?
No, I watched a lot of Let's Plays on it though.
Yeah, it comes in chapters. I think there are 15 chapters, maybe 14 or 16, something around there. And I
Mm.
think there's at least three chapters that are cutscene only. So
Oh
like,
wow.
yeah, you'll get to the end. Say, I think the first one's maybe like chapter 5 or 6 or something. Say, so you play chapter 4. Chapter
Mm,
5 opens with a cinematic, a long
mm,
one at that, and then it ends chapter 6 starts and you're like what the hell, and then there's some more
yeah.
cinematic, and then eventually you'll be put into the game. You're like chapter 5 was just a cutscene, and then they did it again I think twice more throughout the game, and it was I've never seen that before. It's at that point it's like why don't just call that like all one chapter still, and then nobody's gonna
Mm.
like call you out for it, and it
Was
was
it?
just
I
Yeah.
weird.
heard the story was
It seemed
great.
like
I mean, but
The story's awesome. Like it did. Speaking of world building, they set up a lot for a sequel in that one that I hope they fix what they got wrong, and they actually
yeah.
get to do the sequel.
That's what kept me. I was like hooked to the Let's Plays because I just wanted like it was a big hubbub and everyone was like, what's the deal with this order? It's only taking 4 hours to beat and all this stuff. And I was like,
hey, well,
but the game
calm
looked
down,
great to
Cole. It
me.
took
And
5 hours. All right,
I,
jeez.
but then well, like,
Give
I
him
wouldn't watch
credit where
people.
it's due.
Like it looked great. And so I would say the only criticism would be maybe that there wasn't enough, and maybe that like I have no idea what the story is, but maybe they thought it was going to be a longer game and it ended up not, and that's what made them do the
It, it's
only.
it's like I was saying before too. It's kind of how you sell it as well. I mean, if you're gonna tell me, hey, come to my house, I'm gonna make you the best chicken dinner that you've ever had, and then you give me a steak. I like steak, but I'm gonna be a bit disappointed because you told me I was gonna have the best chicken dinner ever. Marketing is such a terrible thing, but it's how we get things now.
But like was it them though, or was it just the online bloggers and Twitter people that were making it out to be what it wasn't? Because I don't remember them ever saying this is gonna like
Well,
it's gonna
no, I mean,
rival Halo or COD or
well,
something like that. They
I mean when you look at it visually, it's kind of stunning to be honest. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
it's a great looking game, but I don't know when you're talking about how much you're putting into the gameplay mechanics, and then you don't really have a lot of
Hmm.
gameplay. Like I said,
Hmm.
you're trying to sell me something that isn't really there, and that's what I don't like about it. I mean, from what I've seen and heard, people tell me the story is great, the music's awesome, just everything about it. But
Oh,
when it comes,
freaking music is so. I'm buying the music on vinyl. I love it so
yeah,
much.
see, but as a
Like from
video
what like I
game,
haven't I haven't
I
I
don't know.
haven't played it, but to me it looked pretty much just like a shorter version of an Uncharted game because that's all it seems all Uncharted
It is
is
in the
cutscenes
way
followed.
that it's similar to Uncharted in that they're both trying to be very cinematic and rival like a movie.
Hmm.
But I mean, the actual mechanics are a lot different. Your character, Sir Galahad, he can't like he's there's no platforming or like stunts or anything like that. He's mostly just ducking behind cover. It's a cover shooter is what it is, but
Well,
there's
and
not a lot of
that's
shooting in it, which
to
is
me
weird.
like, hmm. And that's like to me, like whenever I'm playing a game that's heavy on story, that's in the back of my mind. Like it doesn't bother me, but in the back of my mind, I have a slight criticism of like if this game is so story driven, everything, why am I just shooting like 1,000 people? Why does nobody care that I'm killing a
Yeah,
thousand people?
Because
Like,
you're
because
yeah.
literally
that's
The
Hitler.
Uncharted
ruins it.
the Uncharted series gets a lot of heat for that. Like he's supposed to be the good guy, yet I've killed more people than all of the bad guys in the story combined just in this one
Well, you know
level.
what, Mark? He's a good guy with a gun, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
You know what? Since we're
It's the
talking,
only thing that stops a bad guy with a
yes,
gun.
since we're act,
But that's for our politics
yeah,
podcast.
since we're talking about single player stuff now, let's get into our main thing here. So,
All
so
right.
our main topic for the day is on. We're seeing a lot of games focusing less on single player and kind of driving things more towards multiplayer, and kind of a little bit of vice versa with a lot of things. There's a lot of games that are heavily single player, in their series, and now they're working towards multiplayer. And I've seen a lot of multiplayer only games trying to dive into single player. So can there be a balance? That's what we're going to discuss right now. Can there be a balance, or should they just focus on their single player? Because hey, you're just good at single player, you do that, and then you over here, you're good at multiplayer, so you just do that. Don't try to get your peanut butter in my chocolate. Damn it, that's not how it works.
Well, we should stress that it's not just because I think there's a separate argument that people like to have regarding what they consider tacked on multiplayer, like what Uncharted, Tomb Raider,
Hmm.
Arkham Origins, Dead Space. Those games have all taken single player experiences and tried to force feed us a multiplayer version of it, and it's not usually well received or even paid attention to
Yeah.
much. Even if it deserves more attention, it just people don't really go that way too much with it. But I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what we really want to focus on, right, is these. There's a small list of games that'll surely grow larger over the console generation and more to come after that, where they're only multiplayer games and they seem like they definitely have room for a single player, and they're just electing not to even incorporate it at all, like Titanfall,
See,
Evolve,
see now
Star. I think.
that's where I'm gonna get kind of clash with you on that, because I grew up with PC games that were just multiplayer only, and I loved them for that. And now some like Battlefield, now some of them like Battlefield are trying to put single player in there, and I hate that because like your single players are terrible, and and, and,
Yeah,
and, and
they
it's
are.
slacking now in your multiplayer too. How about you ditch the single player and focus on your multiplayer instead? Like with Titanfall, with like their single player just made no sense. I don't know if you guys played it.
I have EA access, so I actually downloaded it a couple weeks ago,
It's terrible.
and
I mean, just it makes no fucking sense
yeah,
whatsoever.
it's
I don't I
You like
don't
the
feel I don't
story?
know I don't feel for the characters. I have no idea
Mm.
why they're fighting. They'll just like walk in going, they have the oil, and like who has the oil? Those guys. And then everybody
yeah,
blows up
no
and
way.
dies at the end. And I'm like, what? Why?
Wait, Cole, we should explain to Cole because he hasn't played, and maybe anybody who's listening who hasn't played it, what it does basically. It is a multiplayer only game like we're discussing today,
Hmm.
but in the main menu there's an option that says campaign. All the campaign is like certain voiceovers and certain like short cutscenes before multiplayer matches, but they often
Oh.
don't even unfold in order
Hmm.
as far as I'm aware. Like I've been trying, like when I play it, I actually like it more than I like a lot of multiplayer games because I don't really play multiplayer that much. So I've been playing it a lot over the last couple of weeks, and when I play it, I'll always click campaign just to try to
Hmm.
see what the story has to say for itself. And I keep getting the same levels. I'm sure I've played some of them 3 or 4 times already, whereas there's probably other parts of this, what they call the story, where I haven't even seen yet. You
Mm.
could probably do private matches and play it in order, I guess, but it's just very weird the way they implement it. It's basically just cutscenes and voiceover during multiplayer matches, just to give you like context. Like,
Yeah,
A more engrossing kind of game.
I mean, that's the idea, I guess, but it doesn't
it
work, and
failed
it's
terribly.
Interesting. Did you guys ever play the game Meg on the PS3?
Meg? Oh,
Meg,
Have you
Mag,
no.
heard of it?
Mag.
Mag.
Oh,
Sorry.
Meg. Like Meg, I don't know her.
Well,
Mag.
who's
Did you guys
shooting
play
what
that at
into
all?
her? Anyways, I played a little bit of it, and it kind of failed in that sense too, because that game did do kind of good for a while. It was supposed to be the Call of Duty killer, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it just killed itself, basically.
Well, that, yeah, like, and it was the one thing I was just what reminded me of it was how Titanfall used the multiplayer to kind of insert some story, and Mag could have really benefited from that because you could when you'd go join, you could see which faction, because there were three different factions you could be a part of, and once you started, you couldn't switch. Like you could create a separate account, but like once you got to a certain level, like that would
Yeah,
be, it'd take you a long time to get back up to that level in another faction, and it was really great to see which faction was winning. And I mean, they kind of dropped the ball because it would have been really easy to just have a writer maybe like once a week do like an update based on like how the tides of war changed, like maybe like make up politics with it all, like assassinate presidents or something like that. Like,
I I think if it was more successful, maybe we would have seen that, but
mm,
I don't know if it ever got off the ground the way it wanted to,
it
They
didn't.
might have just abandoned those
Yeah,
ideas.
it pretty.
mm,
Well, all right.
Because that does sound awesome.
Here's a multiplayer I actually didn't think I was gonna like, and it did really well to me, at least for me, was The Last of Us. The multiplayer in The Last of Us, I
Oh yeah.
kind of
really?
like. The reason why I like it
Yeah, it's
is
good.
because
I didn't even
it
know I
like
had it.
it gives you a reason not to fail. It's not. It's more than just a score. If you fail, you
Mm.
fail your camp group. That means people get sick and they start dying. And
Are they camp group like NPC
yeah, yeah,
players
no, no,
or are they?
they're just
Yeah.
Okay.
NPC players. You and your group are supposed to be going out to help them to get this to
Okay.
find scrap metal and just all sorts of stuff to help out. And sometimes they'll just straight up say this: "Hey, there's a hunters coming in, and they're gonna kill people. So based off, no matter what, people are gonna die, but there's gonna be less people that'll die if you do really good."
Oh, awesome. So you're all like everyone in the lobby is on the same
Um,
team
well,
or
no. You pick a faction, and
okay.
there's the Fireflies versus the Hunters,
The hunters.
Okay, I see.
and I thought that was really well done. I mean,
So it's like
Naughty
Counter-Strike.
Dog. I see. That's why I'm kind of looking forward to the Uncharted multiplayer because they did so
Huh.
well with The Last of Us. When I'm thinking like, okay, I might actually enjoy this. It's not like with so
Mhm.
many other games. Like I said, Battlefield. I love the Battlefield games online. Well, I grew up loving them, and now not as much. But when they start incorporating single player into, I'm like, why? Why are you doing this? You guys are so good with your multiplayer.
Well, like this is my point I was going to bring up. Like, would you guys pay full price or would you want to pay full price for a game that's only
No.
multiplayer?
Out of the well,
Well,
here's the list of like Tony says, this has been going on for a while in PC gaming. It's really nothing new there, but I think it's a weird trend for people who like me have only ever really been console gamers.
Mm-hmm.
Here, the five games, as far as I know right now, that are have already or are soon moving towards this are Titanfall, Evolve, which did it earlier this year, Star Wars Battlefront, Rainbow Six Siege, and then the last gen only version of Black Ops 3. The current gen version will
Mm.
still have a story, but on Xbox 360 and PS3, they're not including the story mode, which
Mm.
is weird.
Did you
But
hear what they're doing with the story mode on the PS4 and Xbox One?
they're keeping it.
what? Oh, four
Well,
player co-op or something?
Well, what they're gonna do is, yeah, you can do the co-op. So I guess that's what they're really trying to make it almost like it'll be different each time, so people will spend more time there. But then apparently I read an article saying that you can, if you want, you can just skip to the last chapter and play that, and then it'll kind of unlock whatever you would need to, if you wanted, if that would unlock when you play through the whole campaign, like giving you that option, almost like the way the article related to is like, oh yeah, when you buy a book, you could go to the end and just read it if you want, but we know if we want the best experience, we're going to start at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it sounds like they're going to kind of do that. So then maybe if so that'll help appease the multiplayer only buyers, and maybe they'll poke their head in there and be like, wait, actually, I'll go back to the beginning, and
Hmm.
I don't know.
They're
We'll see how
having.
it
I
works.
mean, developers and publishers in general, they're having. They're going through such a change especially dealing with all these new age, getting more people coming in and everything like that. I guess they're trying to grab as many people as they possibly can, but to me, you're creating a bad game by doing that. If you're gonna, you can't sit there and create an awesome single player and an awesome multiplayer with the budget and the team that you have. I think you should focus on what's
Yeah.
important. You know,
I don't know why they don't split them up
they
nowadays since it's
they actually do.
digital.
Sometimes they do, but not
Sometimes.
not
I heard
enough.
Battlefield Hardline, the cop drama one. I heard their single player developing team was twice the size of their multiplayer one, and this is supposed to be like a multiplayer, series, and
That's weird.
and it was terrible from what I heard. It was absolutely
I'm
horrendous.
playing it right now. It's pretty goofy.
Yeah, so I see. I just can't. And for me, growing up when I was playing PC, like you were saying, Cole, I loved playing Counter Strike and Team Fortress, and those were just multiplayer only games. And I think when you focus that much into the multiplayer, I'll pay $60 for that. If you're going all the way into the multiplayer and trying to make the experience memorable and keeping the repetition down to where I can actually pick it up and just continue playing and not feel bored by it. And with Titanfall, I like Titanfall. I still play it every once in a while, but in reality, it's just one of those games that just it just wasn't memorable. That was I thought walking around with Giant Titans was going to be a great game, and it didn't turn out to be as great as I thought it was.
See, I just started playing it like 3 weeks ago, maybe. I haven't played a Call of Duty in years. I play Battlefield 4 once in a while because I like the feel of that when I do feel like playing a multiplayer shooter. But really, I don't even touch the subgenre of multiplayer shooters almost ever.
Suck.
Really?
Yeah, I really don't care about it most of the time, but I really do like Titanfall, and I don't know if it has lasting appeal with me, but I think it's refreshing in the way that you can move, like with the jetpack things and the wall running. It's so fast, which usually I don't like. I like Battlefield because it's more deliberate. You pace yourself, you strategize it. I've never liked Call of Duty because you just run in circles around like little corridors and quickly like stab each other, and that was always goofy to me. For some reason, I don't know what it is, but Titanfall, I really like it. Just I guess because if you're good at the wall running and the jumping off walls and the double jumping and all that, you can pretty much get to any point in the map, which is really cool. And I had never seen that before. And maybe whatever multiplayer shooter I picked up recently, I would have liked because I've been far away from the subgenre enough that now I kind of felt like playing it again. But it does seem different. It's just, and that one's not really to get back on like the main topic. I guess that one to me isn't really a main offender when it comes to going multiplayer only, because it's not like there's any like deep storyline there that they're basing it off of. Like that's a brand new IP. That's where they wanted to go with it. And the sequel's coming out, and they've sold, I think, 10 million copies plus. So it works for them, and they'll probably stick with that.
Well, and if you're a game developer or producer, I guess, I would think it'd be a genius idea to get millions of people hooked to your multiplayer, hooked to the lore of the game, and then release a single player game. And probably 90% of them are going to be stoked to go buy that and play through it because they're like, I've been invested in this for 2 years
That's
now,
possible,
3 years. Yeah,
I
and
think
then they
that's
can like,
true. I think that's true for a number of people. That would probably be true for me in this regard. But what Peter Moore of EA says is that they've crunched the numbers in regards to Battlefront rather, and well, I mean, I guess just in shooters in general, I think with their experience doing shooters like Battlefield and stuff, I think that what he said was that the numbers show that people don't attach themselves to that portion of it, so they didn't want to pump money into that for Battlefront. But I think Battlefront is the most like it's weird to me. Like you have Star Wars, it's one of probably like the top 2 or 3 licenses in the history of the world. And you're not going to include a story mode to that. I mean, they must just have single player Star Wars content coming out down the line. Maybe that's why. But of all the ones that we listed, of those 5 that just did it or are soon doing it, Battlefront to me is the one that makes me scratch my head
Even
because
Siege.
there's so much. there's so much room for that, you know.
Even Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, Rainbow Six are they're Tom Clancy novels, and they're based off of books. So I
Yeah.
understand why people are getting mad at Battlefront and Rainbow Six Siege, but after playing them both, and I played Rainbow Six Siege pretty much the full version Tuesday. I was at an event with Doug, and I liked the game a lot, and I thought it was a pretty good. It reminded me of Counter Strike, the old like 1.5 patch, and just that feel of it. It didn't remind me of the game so much, but the feel I was getting from it, and I think that's why.
Is that because you kind of set up the same way and kind of
Well, well,
come to
well,
a choke point
well.
each
There's
time?
you can either get hostages or defuse bombs. It's just really cool
Hmm.
sitting there. If you're a defense team, setting stuff up, like you set up steel walls, you can set up like barbed wire and put make them go have electricity through them. I mean, they have all these cool gadgets on both sides, and everything is just a lot of fun. But the fact that you're putting Rainbow Six on it, I understand why they can draw fans away because they're mainly single player games or co-op single player games. So people are like, I'm not too sure on that because it's the same thing that what Mark's saying with Star Wars. Star Wars has a huge universe of exploring and characters. You're not getting that in Battlefront. You're a bunch of rebels and you're the people that are in the background shooting each other. So
Yeah.
and they're missing on purpose. But don't get me wrong though. I actually enjoyed Battlefront. I think the beta was a bit messed up for a lot of reasons, and people have discussed that, especially since the Empire had a huge advantage in the beta.
The Walker Assault.
Yeah, but
They said they're gonna balance it when the main game
and that's
comes
the
out.
point of betas is to understand stuff like that. And I get it. The games aren't bad. It's just that when you're taking them from a universe that is so story driven, I can understand why people are like, why are you doing this? I don't care about stormtroopers. I want to play as Luke, and you can play as Luke for like a minute, literally like a minute. When you get the secret thing icon to become Luke, you get to play him as a minute, and half the time you're not even hurting anybody. So I understand why it just depends on how you play him, but I understand why people are groaning and moaning against these games that are usually multiplayer and going to single player, and these games that are single player going multiplayer. Because, like I said, I think they're trying to grab everybody they can so they can make as much money as they can. But the problem is, I think you're going to fail if you do that, because you're going to be messing with what's the word I'm trying to come up with here. Basically, like I said, when I play Battlefield, I want to play online and play with tanks and against other people and stuff like that. I really don't give a
Yeah.
shit about the story. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
I don't care. And it's kind of almost the same thing with Star Wars too. I like Battlefront, but at the same time, I really don't care about the random stormtrooper that gets shot in the face. I brought.
Well, I think again with Battlefront, I think they probably have something story related, not as DLC for this game or anything, but Disney owns Star Wars now, but does EA own the exclusive Star Wars gaming license or?
I'm not 100%. Oh man, when it comes to licensing and the rights of certain things, it gets so damn confusing.
Because I think they were behind 1313 before it got canceled, but I think it's not like we're the only ones that know that Star Wars very much has room for a single player experience. So they must have something down the line that they have planned that we don't know about yet. And like they probably know that Battlefront will never fail anyways,
Yeah.
like the fact that it exists is probably a guaranteed like 5 to 10 million
Oh yeah.
sales.
I mean, they already have like the ultimate edition package for like over $100. And I'm gonna tell you this
Yeah.
right now. I don't own a PS4. I borrow my sister's, and since I'm moving and I'm not gonna be able to access it as much as her, me and my wife decided to buy a PS4. But we saw the Battlefront 2 bundle. My son loved the game. Actually, my son was kicking ass online on the beta. So I was like, you know what? He really liked that game. He loves Star Wars in general. So I bought the bundle mainly for him.
Yeah, that and there's plenty of
I
people
like
that
Star Wars too, Tony. Can you tell me more?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe if we get some sponsors going and all that, we can definitely do that.
Did you guys want to touch on any Nintendo multiplayer games?
Well, oh wait a minute.
I looked up to see. I was like, oh, is Splatoon one of
Mm-hmm.
these examples
No,
as
it's
well?
Splatoon. Splatoon's doing very, very interesting stuff. Like, I mean, the only reason why I bought an Xbox back in the day was because of Halo, and I played a bunch of online games on PC. One thing I wanted to mention too is the new Unreal tournament's going to be free to play, which will be awesome
Yes.
for anyone who has a computer who can play
Mm-hmm.
that. That was a great game
I'm
back in the
actually
day, and
upgrading
it's
my
hours of
computer.
fun.
I'm getting like a new processor, motherboard, and video card. I'm kind of excited
Nice,
for the next couple of months
nice.
of all the games that are coming out, so I can play them on PC, such as Fallout 4. I heard about the Unreal Tournament, but you know what? Tell me a little bit more about. I'm sorry, I cut you off. I want to know more
No,
about
no.
Splatoon, because I know that the main focus on that was multiplayer, but there was sort of a single player thing going on there as well.
Yeah, like, and they did it really well. Like I was saying, was that like through all my experience in multiplayer games, it feels very fresh, which is kind of a pun because that's in the game they use that a lot. Like, stay fresh because they're squid kids.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be an old stinky squid. So yeah,
You
so
know
like
how
when you,
those squid kids
Yeah,
are.
riding their
yeah.
skateboards around the park. Get the fuck off my lawn.
Oh man, you play Splatoon and you'll just anyone under 16 years old, you can see like the crazy style that's in the game the kids are wearing. And I'm like, do they play Splatoon or is Splatoon just that in tune to this age demographic?
Oh, that's
It's kind of
well.
funny.
Nintendo is sort of they know who their fans are, and they definitely market towards them.
Oh
Nintendo's
yeah.
dedicated. I
Um,
get see that's why I like Nintendo is because they know who their fans are, and they usually know what they want, and they don't try to
well,
market too much out, which is I guess is a bad thing in a business sense, but at the same time when you have so many fans, it kind of isn't.
mhm. Well,
Yeah, I mean,
and
Nintendo as a name is like Star Wars. Like if something says Nintendo on it, I mean, the Wii exists and the GameCube exists and they've had failures, but for in terms of first party things that they do, like it's a guaranteed success almost
Yeah.
like almost all the time.
Yeah, no, I told, and at the same time too, like if you're talking to somebody who doesn't know video games at all, and you say just name anything video game related, they're gonna say like Mario or
Yeah.
Nintendo. So,
Yeah.
well,
I mean,
well, that's until like I think still to this day, my parents refer to all my video games as Nintendo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every single one. They're like, "Oh, you guys play Nintendo?" And I'm like, I will be playing the PS3, and I'm like, "Yeah, we're
uh,
playing
oh
Nintendo."
my god, that's funny.
But anyway, back to the multiplayer and all that on First Platoon. It's really interesting because the outward look is very kiddie, like you guys were kind of touching on with Nintendo's feel. But
Hmm.
the game is so relentless in multiplayer that I would be really shocked to know that a lot of young players are playing it, or if they do, they play it for long. Because even being somewhat experienced in playing it, like I've never been more frustrated with the game, but at the same time, because of that, it can be pretty rewarding when you do win. Um, but anyway, back to the single player, multiplayer too on it is when you first boot up the game, you're just like a fresh squid. You don't have any gear. You don't have, you have like one weapon. And then when you play, you win every time you win, or even sometimes when you lose, you get money. And then you can buy gear like hats, shoes, shirts, and weapons. And then the weapons each have a sub weapon and a special weapon, and then the gear all kind of give you perks like in other normal modern day shooters. So you get like attack up, you can do like ninja squid where the other teammates can't see you when you're like in your ink because you can swim through your ink, which is a really cool gameplay mechanic. But then what they did with the single player is I mean, you don't even have to touch single player, but if you do play it, every time you beat a boss, and it's built kind of like typical Nintendo, play 6 worlds, fight a boss, 6 world or 6 levels, fight a boss, go to a new world, and so on. And each
Hmm.
time you beat a boss, you get these like C scrolls, like blueprints, which are for a new weapon. And the only way to get these certain weapons, is to play through the single player mode, and then take them to the guy in the town that will then build it for you, and then you have to buy it from him. Um, and so people realized really quickly that everyone had these gold spray can guns that were really awesome, and everyone's like, "How do I get that?" And so everyone's like, "Well, you got to play the single player mode." So everyone went jumped in the single player mode to go get that gun.
Hmm.
So it rewards you for playing it in that way, like directly involving the gameplay. But then it kind of tells you why are people shooting ink at each other, and like what's this squid war about?
See that? I mean,
So
that's good when
yeah.
the multiplayer and the multiplayer and the single player aren't separate entities. You know, they're kind of melded together,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
that's why I think I liked the Last of Us multiplayer so much, is that it felt like, you know, the actual single player in a sense, because you're scavenging, you're trying to stop these people from hurting your camp and everything like that. It made sense, but like with the Tomb Raider multiplayer, it just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's just a third-person shooter where they saw Uncharted did it, so let's do it too, because they already took a lot from Uncharted anyways. Which is fair because Uncharted took everything from them
Yeah.
originally, so it just came full
Well, let's
circle.
say inspired. Let's
But
use the word inspired,
okay, yeah,
with
that sounds
rainbows
good
and
for a post.
unicorns and yeah.
But hey, one funny thing I wanted to mention, it's not entirely on topic, but regarding the Last of Us multiplayer, Tony, I don't know if you utilize this feature, and Cole, you haven't played it yet, so maybe this will be news to both of you. But you can, if you link it to your Facebook, instead of giving you like because when you're on the main menu, like basically like the multiplayer lobby before you
Oh, I know
load
what you're talking
out,
about. Yeah.
it'll it'll tell you like what people in your camp are doing. You know, it'll say like, oh, Jim Johnson is building a fire or whatever. So just typical like survival things are going on. And it kind of tries to like give you a little sense of like the people in your group. But if you link it to your Facebook, it actually pulls names directly from your friends list. And I've at separate times I've seen each of you like are working in my camp, which is pretty funny.
Oh, hopefully we don't die.
Oh, that's great.
Maybe that kind of gives you the incentive to try harder, because you're like, oh, I don't want to see somebody actually know dying
Yeah,
or
yeah,
going, all cannibalistic on people or something like that. So
yeah.
no, that is a cool feature, and I like small features like that, especially when it doesn't involve pain for it. I could already tell you right now, and let's, no one from Movie Stops is gonna hear it, but there's already a section where it goes, hey, if you don't get enough money in game, you could actually use your real money to buy stuff. I'm like, no, why would I
Yeah.
do that? You're supposed to give me the money in the game to buy this stuff.
Well, I think I think that's part of the reason why a lot of these games are going multiplayer only is because there's a
You
lot
make
more.
more money.
Monetizing.
Yeah, there are a lot more opportunities to sell like little pieces of the game. Like these microtransactions that
Well, that's
it's
what's
such
really
a dirty
weird.
word, but for good reason for a lot of people, I think. I mean, on one hand, yes, you can just ignore it, but on the other hand, like there's a balance that the developer has to find before it becomes like pay to win, basically. Because
Yeah.
like on Madden, for example, with their Ultimate Team mode, it's like the trading card mode. EA's got it across all their sports games now, and even the other sports developers are using it too. It's kind of like fantasy football, but you play games. You start off with a crap team. You play games to earn coins. With those coins, you can buy new card packs, and in the packs you get like random assortments of players. So it's kind of like trading cards, kind of like fantasy football, and it's really fun. Except if you have like very deep pockets, you can just buy a ton of packs. You don't have to play many games, and you can just boost your team. Like on day one, you might already have like an excellent team when really everyone's team starts at like a 60 something out of 100. And
Oh
if
wow.
you've got the money and if you don't mind spending it on Madden digital content, you can there'll be no chance that anybody could ever beat you,
Yeah.
unless you have all these talented players and you still suck. And that's kind of what the multiplayer
That would be
games are doing.
terrible if you spent so much money and you're still losing.
Yeah, well that's the Dallas Cowboys in real life, but that's another different that's for the football podcast that I'll do
Yeah,
later.
that's Battlefield has been doing that, especially in Battlefield 3. It's like, hey, how all those guys have those cool equipment and they're kicking your ass because they've actually been playing the game longer than you, or they're better than you.
Yeah.
Well, hey, for a measly $5, you could get all the equipment they have just for that one class. So come on.
Yeah, the short they call them the shortcut
Yeah.
bundles. Basically, you pay to unlock all the weapons rather than rank up and have them unlock naturally. There's just a balance there, and I mean, like I said, you have to blame part of it part of the blame goes to the
Oh
player
yeah,
too.
oh
You
yeah,
know, like
definitely.
it exists. It doesn't mean it has to be utilized. But I think developers sometimes will skew it in a way where it's like the people who are paying real dollars for some of this content do have an advantage, and that's when I think the game fails. And
I always hate it when I hear people say stuff like that too, like, "Oh, I hate the monetizing, I hate this and that." And it's like, so then why do you buy it? Well, because
yeah,
I
it's like
have
just
to. It's like, no, you don't have to. You literally don't have to buy it, but you do it anyways.
yeah, that's usually the case. I especially like I mean obviously they took it all from the mobile market with all those like free to play
Hmm.
games, and before you know it, like for the first like couple hours the game's really fun, and then all of a sudden you're behind like a timer that takes like 2 days, or pay $3 and it'll unlock now. And so like I think mobile is a bigger offender of it, but now it's sort of infecting a lot of the console games, which is what we all like. And I don't know, has that even that probably hasn't hit Nintendo as much, has it, Cole? Can you do that in like Splatoon and stuff?
Sorry, what was that? I
Do
got
like
distracted.
oh like
I was
paying
reading on Reddit.
oh he's on tip of my joystick
Probably
right
trying
now.
to figure it out.
Uh, like paying for
Oh, yeah,
like
well,
pay to win kind of games. Like, do are those even on Nintendo yet?
no, and it's really interesting how they did it with Splatoon too, because everyone was really upset about it at first. When the game came out, I think it came out in June or May, and there was only one game mode and like four maps available online. And
Hmm.
then they announced that they were going to release more around August. So everyone was kind of upset about that. Like me being one of them, I was like, well, what's the point of buying it if you don't get the whole game until then? But the whole thing I'm seeing now, like I was saying, I was very relentless, was that it was almost kind of like an easing in process, and it was strategy on their part.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one game mode that they allowed was kind of the friendliest game mode, and so then everyone got a feel of the game, and you got ranked up enough where then you could, you know, go play the single player, get the guns, unlock the guns, and all that kind of stuff. And then once August hit, they unleashed the rank mode, which then the rank mode came with a couple new maps too. And then now it's almost like a weekly basis where we get new guns, new loadouts, new maps, new gear, and it's all free. Like you just boot up the game and it's like, here's a Inkopolis news alert. Like go to Sheldon and you can buy this new gun and talk to him about the details and stuff. And so it's really fun because people nowadays talk about the meta of games. So every week the meta of the game is changing, and so it's like the one gun that was powerful last week is now being trumped by this new gun. Or just recently too, they're doing a really good job of making updates to help balance the game.
Hmm.
Sometimes it takes a couple weeks, but like there's just a new one that's I think going live the 20th that's gonna nerf one of the guns that 99% of the people believe it's overpowered, even the people who use it. So
Of
that'll
course,
be
that's why they're
Yeah,
good.
using
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's so interesting, like with this game too, is you're playing against a lot of Japanese players because I think the game's much more popular in
What
Japan.
A
it. Seems
Uh,
Nintendo
like
game? Shut your mouth.
well, like they don't have as like as I don't know. It seems like the U.S. market's bigger, but they sold the same roughly the same amount here as they did
Hmm.
there. But then the Japanese players, they're consistently playing, and so they'll pair you up against them all the time. And I mean, you know that they're Japanese because they all have Japanese
Names. Yeah.
alphabet letters, the hiragana, and it's great because you get to see the different play styles. Like it is, you can tell like that they play differently. Like they master one part of a level and the gun so well that like it if you were able to defeat them and then once you go back and play like the US counterparts, you kind of have a leg up. It's almost like you went to a different boxing camp and then you went to fight your old training partners and you're like, check out this new right hook I learned.
yeah, I think that's probably a good topic for another show too. Is the difference between Japanese developed games and Western
Oh yeah,
developed
definitely.
games. I don't even want to say too much on it just because I have so much to say on it, and we should probably move on to the trope, the last like segment here soon. But that's a good idea. We should I'm gonna write that down, or upload it to the cloud or whatever, and save that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But you guys want to move on to the
Yeah.
trope, or you guys have anything else to say?
Let's go
Yeah.
troping.
Okay. So yeah, basically this is the first episode. What we want to do well, hopefully week or so. I don't know what our schedule will be. Every episode we're going to end with discussing an overused, well, I guess that's redundant, a trope in video games that we're either very familiar with, or when we hear about it and read about it, we might be like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that before." But for the first episode, we wanted to start with the most overused trope in the history of video games, which is the exploding red barrels. And I'll read a little off tvtropes.org. They give a ton of examples. Um, they even give a real life example that's hilarious that I want to read to you guys, and then we can just discuss like how we feel
Yeah.
about this. But it says exploding barrels in some action games and many first-person shooters, explosive barrels or crates are present, generally red and marked with some sort of warning. They will explode when shot and kill any nearby enemies. They are sometimes located conveniently near a horde of enemies. Sadly, your own AI comrades may decide to take cover behind the barrels too if they're as dumb as the enemies. And then it goes on to talk about how they're used in platform games, obviously shooter games all the time. There are so many examples, pretty much because it's like every game ever, but they say Doom is obviously a major
Yeah.
offender.
Mm.
Or, not necessarily offender, but they utilize them. Maybe, I mean, I guess in Doom they probably fit more than anywhere else because those games are meant to be like fast and explosive like that. They say rail shooters use them all the time. Duke Nukem, Half-Life, GTA, Diablo, Bionic Commando, like literally Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter, Perfect Dark. There's no. It's basically every game except for maybe a couple. I'm trying to think. Does Last of Us have any?
Mm, crap.
I don't think they
No.
do because there's
Spoiler
there's
alert.
really no like major explode because
Why,
the
why would
combat
there
in
be a
those
red
games are
barrel in a school kind of thing? I think it's
yeah.
because
Well, I
you're
mean,
going through such a suburb area that you wouldn't. It'd be kind of weird to see them as much.
yeah.
Not even like a
But
gas can or something.
I don't think
Oh,
so, actually. I
I
mean,
mean,
the closest thing you can do to that is you can craft homemade
Molotovs.
they call them nail bombs, but it's basically just shrapnel
We got
bombs.
Molotovs too,
Mm.
but yeah.
Yeah, Molotovs as well. Yeah.
Also, like, what do you
Resident Evil
guys? Why do you
uses
guys
them.
think? Sorry, what were you saying,
No,
Mark?
no, I was just kind of looking at the list. It's just so funny. The list is so long.
Oh yes, it's ginormous. I mean, cause what's funny is that in your mind you would think in reality you would never shoot a red barrel because red of course means what? It means danger. Stop, please don't, kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah,
But I guess like since we're being put into an area where you're supposed to do almost the opposite of everything, like you're supposed to shoot the person in the head,
yeah.
stuff that you would never regularly do. It only made sense to paint them red, and it's just saying, hey, this is explosive. This is a dangerous situation. And when you see, like you said, like people piling up, you're like, oh yeah, this is gonna be awesome. So,
Yeah.
and then,
And it's so funny the way it's built into gamer DNA, like I don't know I don't know if you guys can remember when you actually picked up on it, but it just becomes like second nature, you'll be moving throughout a level or a world and when you see that red barrel that shooting it is going to have it explode. There's no other outcome there. It's just so funny how it's so overused. And I like when some stories or games or whatever will break the fourth wall and kind of call
oh yeah,
attention to that.
Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I needed to kill somebody with a dynamite box. So I was looking around for it, and of course I see a red box, and I was like, "That has to be it." Walk over there, scan it. Oh, it's it. I can shoot it. Wait for the guy to get up to it. Boom, and
Yeah.
and it's
See what? That's telling me I don't need to move up to the next gen because they're still doing the same thing.
That's why I wanted to start with this one because this one apparently is limitless. It's never going to die. It'll always be utilized. Like
yeah,
it says here in the Deadpool game as one example, it says, seeing as he likes to break the fourth wall so much, Deadpool mocks this trope in his game. How convenient, he says before blowing them
yeah.
up. And obviously that's one of several that have kind of like done that tongue-in-cheek nod to the fact that it's so cliche.
Oh yeah. I
Mm.
believe Half-Life had it too, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember shooting
Half-Life.
them, and what I think is really funny is in reality, I don't think if you ever really shot at a red can full of gasoline that would actually blow up.
There's two things that I want to read. One of them I just found, and the other one I found earlier. Um, it says, so this one says, in real life, strong explosives require special permits, separation of batches, and so forth to prevent PepCon, which is in quotes. And I could click through to read what that is, but we don't need to do all that right now. PepCon and AZF type explosions, it says. Video game environments are not required to comply with such regulations. And then they give a real life, at the very bottom here, let me find it. They give a real life example of when this happened. And it was freaking funny. It says, in real life, terrifyingly, this trope actually has a basis in reality. As late as sometime in the 1980s, field lab employees at the Santa Susana Field Laboratory in Simi Valley, California, disposed of barrels of toxic radioactive waste by shooting them with rifles so they exploded and released their contents into the air. The barrels in question contained radioactive sodium metal, among other wastes, making them sensitive to the shock from a rifle bullet.
What?
Wow.
So somebody actually did. I don't know if they were right.
Oh,
I don't think they
you did
mentioned the
some
color.
great research, Mark.
Well, he is a journalist
This is
after all. I
great.
would hope he would do that. No, that's pretty interesting. I think all right. So, but in that case, it wasn't just like gasoline. It was actually some toxic.
Toxic waste that you definitely don't want into
Yeah,
the
yeah.
air, into the
Mm.
being shot at and being projected into the air.
That's actually pretty crazy.
Well, I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys played games like I did when I was a kid, but I was always blown away by the next kind of leap in technology. And so I remember Doom had the sprite bad guys, and so when you'd kill them, you could walk around them 360, but they always faced you the same
Yeah.
exact way.
Uh-huh.
And then I remember playing Quake for the first time, and they had polygonal bad guys, and you could walk around and you could look at the corpse in all different angles, and I was like, this is blowing my mind. And
That's
along
why
with
you're high.
that, yeah, I was so obsessed with anything 3D rendered, like that show Reboot. Did you guys watch
Oh
that?
my
I
gosh!
remember that,
Holy
yeah, the kid
shit! No
show.
Yeah,
way.
that came out. That was so good. But anyway, like so when I played games, I would always test the game world. I always be like, can I cut down this tree? Can I do that? Like I remember in Turok, I think you could cut down little trees, and you could just like find these things. But way back, like in like Doom days and Area 51, like the arcade shooter and stuff, um, like so little of the environments were destructible that it seemed like the game developers like had to like throw it in our face, like, hey, like shoot this thing because you're missing out on a gameplay element if you don't. So like today, I don't know, I would like to see in new games like Assassin's Creed and stuff that it's more
They
subtle,
don't
I
tell you
guess,
basically.
and
Yeah. It's
yeah.
used as a crutch for
Yeah.
sure. They almost like it's second nature to us when we play a game and we see the red barrel, like okay, we know what's about to happen here, and it's kind of like second nature for them. Like okay, well we need some sort of explosion here, so we'll just render a red barrel. There, problem solved. Everybody's okay with
I
those.
think, but I definitely agree with you, Cole, on the fact that it was a lot cooler when you just accidentally found out about it. Like you're just shooting randomly, and
Mhm.
you're like, "Holy shit, that barrel just exploded!" And I just seen a bunch of them.
Well,
So
yeah, like in GoldenEye, you could shoot the PC monitors and they'd go,
yeah, yeah,
make their
yeah,
awesome
exactly. And
flames.
and then and then now they're basically like putting red arrows everywhere, going, "Hey, shoot at this right now, do it. We're not letting you move
Yeah.
until you shoot this fucking barrel." And it's like, okay, fine, jeez.
Well, and like another, like, would you guys group in there the same thing of like games like Zelda that have the cracked wall and it's like blow this wall up?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Arkham games use that too.
The Arkham games use that.
It,
I bought that game on the Wii. I have Arkham City, and it's okay, but I'm having a hard time getting through it.
really? Huh.
I don't.
Is it because
I
you
get
got
really
dressed up as
bored
a
of those
squid?
games. Yeah, I can't buy new kicks for it.
I don't know. I don't like these giant bats. Now, if he was a giant squid, I would totally be into this right now. But I love the trope idea of this of at the end doing a different because like you said, Mark, there's so many freaking tropes, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna be making more as the games continue
Oh, of
on.
course. There's like I said, this tvtropes.org is the site if anybody wants to look at more. The list that we have to pull from is longer than you could even imagine. Like there are tropes on here, like I said before, that we'll call attention to them and it'll be like, oh yeah, that does happen all the time. And I never really thought of it because the barrels are an obvious one. Double jumps are an old one. Those ones are kind of going away now as games trend more to being realistic. But
By not defying
uh,
physics.
yeah, the physics defying double jump. That's another
Actually,
one.
with the with
There's so
Syndicate,
many.
when I'm watching the girl jump up these buildings, I'm thinking, holy shit, that's really impressive that she's doing that. Like some of the way she's jumping up at something, I'm just like, I can't imagine a girl of her size and her stature actually doing that. But then again, I'm
Yeah.
afraid that if I draw attention to that, everyone will call me a sexist asshole. So I'm like, okay.
Well, I mean, I can't see the guys doing that. That's what kind of threw me off the Assassin's Creed and even Uncharted a little bit, where like a person, I'm supposed to believe that a person can be hanging from a ledge with their fingertips and then launch themselves 3 feet into the air.
Yeah.
Like we have a show called Ninja Warrior that people who train to do that can barely do it like
Yeah.
3 times.
Excuse me while I play my game of squids and ink. And
Yeah.
It is fully based in reality.
well, in Nintendo's mind, I'm pretty sure when they're like we were talking about before, them doing mushrooms all day. So, actually, I if I remember correctly, here's a little factoid for you guys. I think because of the whole,
The
yeah,
factoid jingle.
the mushroom thing actually came, I think, from when the creators making it here somewhere in the European area where these people would eat mushrooms. I'm gonna be guessing Norwegian, where the Vikings, because they would do magic mushrooms, and where they think they were larger than life, and I think that's where it came from, basically. Well, so basically Mario is doing magic mushrooms, and he's probably killing
Yeah.
people in his plumber area.
Well, like you can kind of look up. I think I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about those specific mushrooms, and they go back in human civilization so far. Like some people even make the claim that a lot of Christmas traditions, like elves, Santa
Or
Claus, and stuff
gods in
like
general.
that,
Yeah.
are all well. That too. Like that's kind of the larger
And we just
scheme of
lost our
things.
half
But
our fan
then
base. Boom. these guys.
we're talking about video game
Yeah.
gods, right? Like
Yeah,
God of
exactly,
War and
exactly.
stuff like that.
Zeus,
Yeah.
don't worry. Santa
Um,
Claus is still real, guys. It's okay.
But yeah, I mean, like those mushrooms, like it seems so silly and kind of not important that they're in Mario, and it's just and very unique to that. But really, I think the game developers and stuff, like maybe they did have experiences. I don't know. This is all allegedly. But I think bigger, it's just like it's a huge part of the human race over thousands of years, and they might have actually been very um, thoughtful in using that as opposed to, I don't know, some made up
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, who knows? Maybe when they were first making the first video games, they were all high on mushrooms and said, "Here we go."
Well, do you know how old Nintendo is, the company?
I'm gonna say like what? Probably like 45 years old, maybe 40.
I think they're around 100
What?
years old. I mean, Google real quick. Yeah, they started in the 1800s, not making video games, of course, but
Just doing mushrooms back then.
That's very interesting.
all right, I'm Googling on my phone, so you can't hear the large things. I'll say, so here on Google, the source is Wikipedia. Started out as a small Japanese company founded by Fusajiro Yamauchi on September 23rd, 1889.
What the hell?
So yeah, I mean that like I
It's quite the
remember,
history.
yeah, I remember when I found that out, I thought it was a typo, and I was ready to like write the editor of the
You
website like, are
son
you
of a
crazy? You
bitch!
mean
How
1989?
dare you sully the name of Nintendo by giving the incorrect year?
Exactly. So I mean that could be a whole episode of this podcast too. Of I think that's another reason why they do make so many decisions different than the rest of the gaming world is they're a very traditional company, with long roots.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I mean, over a century is definitely a lot of history there. I mean, holy crap, they're about as old as been around almost as long as America, half pretty much. Um,
Well,
This is crazy. But yeah, that was definitely a good first podcast. Of course, this is just the intro. This is just the beginning. This is us introducing ourselves, giving everybody a feel of who we are. Our next podcast, we're going to be doing one on horror and gaming. That's because Halloween's just around the corner. We're going to try to get a guest on board who's a developer. No promises as of yet, but we're definitely going to try on that. You guys can find us, of course, at facebook.com / Pixelvision Podcast. What's our Twitter?
it's at Pixelvision Pod.
There we go. So pretty much, Pixelvision Podcast or Pixelvision Pod. Definitely follow us there, guys. We're going to be having a lot of guests on board. I've already talked to Battlefield Friends, the very popular Machinima show. They're definitely going to be on board with us. Wikipedia Gaming, they're going to be on the podcast as well. PS4 Trophies is a YouTuber. He deals with collectibles and achievements or / trophies online. And I even talked to Angry Joe from the Angry Joe show, and he's definitely going to be on the podcast as well. So we have a lot of guests. We have a lot of stuff. You better follow us if you want to figure out what these guys want to say.
But maybe I don't know if it's most importantly, subscribe to the show.
Yeah.
itself.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Duh. Go on iTunes. Subscribe. I'm going to try to cut these up a little bit and put them on YouTube as well. So definitely check out the YouTube. And, yeah, other than that, thank you for listening. I mean, I can't believe you got this far. You must be either Mark's mom or my wife or maybe Cole's girlfriend. So good job, guys. I'm glad you guys sat through that. And
Wait, I have a girlfriend too. Why do you make it sound like I just have my mom?
because you said that on Facebook. And I still don't believe. I still don't.
You're
I
the
still don't
youngest,
believe
Mark.
you have a
We have
girlfriend.
to.
I think that's just a fake family you pose with, and you pay them.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, guys, thanks for watching. Have fun gaming and
Not watching. Not watching.
Yeah, stay fresh.
Yes, don't be an old squid.